Your phone is doing something right now that you did not ask it to do. Not a virus, not a hacker sitting in a dark room targeting you specifically, something far more ordinary than that. And honestly, far more dangerous because of how invisible it is. Right now, as your Android phone sits in your pocket or on the table next to you, there are apps installed on it that have been quietly reading your phone number, your call logs, and your device identity, and sending that information out to servers you have never heard of, operated by companies you have never interacted with, who are then packaging that data and selling it to anyone willing to pay, including scammers, including spam networks, including the exact kind of people who have been calling you from numbers you do not recognize, texting you links you should not click, and somehow knowing just enough about you to make those messages feel almost legitimate. This is not a theory. This is not me trying to frighten you for no reason. The mechanisms by which your phone number ends up in the hands of scammers are documented, verified, and actively happening at a scale that is difficult to comprehend. And the worst part, the part that most people never find out until it is already too late, is that a significant portion of this exposure is coming directly from permissions you approved yourself. Permissions you tapped allow on without reading. Permissions that are sitting inside apps on your phone right now, active, running in the background, doing exactly what they were designed to do. And once your number is out there, once it has entered those databases, the consequences can go far beyond annoying spam calls. We are talking about your bank account, your email, your identity, things that take months or years and thousands of dollars to recover from. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how this happens, how your Android specifically makes it easier than it should be, what the real consequences look like when scammers get your number, and then, step by step, exactly what you need to turn off, revoke, and lock down on your phone right now to stop it. Let's get into it. Let's start with the scale of the problem, because the numbers here are not small and they are not old. In 2024 alone, AT&T suffered a breach that affected 86 million customers. Phone numbers, email addresses, social security numbers, all exposed. T-Mobile had a separate breach the same year that hit 76 million users, leaking phone numbers, home addresses, and driver's license data. And then there was the National Public Data Breach, a company most people had never heard of before, where 2.9 billion records were exposed, including phone numbers, social security numbers, and home addresses of people across the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada. 2.9 billion records from a company that most of those people never knowingly interacted with, never gave their information to directly, and had no idea was holding their data in the first place. By May 2025, global data breaches had already exposed over 1.4 billion more records across telecom, healthcare, and retail sectors. And here is the thing that makes all of this relevant to your Android phone specifically. These breaches do not stay in some abstract digital vault. The data from these breaches gets sold, it gets packaged into lists, it gets purchased by spam networks, scam operations, and data brokers who then resell it further. The information moves fast, and it moves wide. And according to cybersecurity researchers, in 2026, the realistic assessment is that most active phone numbers in use today have already been exposed in at least one public breach or scraped by data brokers. Not some numbers, most numbers. The question is no longer whether your number is out there. The question is, what is being done with it right now? And what you're actively doing on your own Android phone to keep making the problem worse every single day. That last part is what most people miss entirely. Because while data breaches happen at a corporate level, far outside your control, there's a parallel leak happening at the device level, inside your Android phone, that you have direct control over and that most people have never addressed. It starts with something called app permissions. And specifically, it starts with a permission that millions of Android users have granted to apps they barely think about, called phone access. Here's how it works. When you install an app on your Android phone, that app can request access to various capabilities of your device. Some of these are obvious and necessary. A camera app needs camera access. A navigation app needs location access. But some apps request permissions that have nothing to do with what they actually need to function. And one of the most sensitive permissions an app can request, one that is actively listed on Android's own developer documentation as a dangerous permission requiring explicit user approval, is access to your phone's identity. This includes your actual phone number, your device's IMEI number, your SIM card information, and in some cases, your incoming and outgoing call logs. The permission is called phone access, and when you grant it, that app has everything it needs to read your real phone number directly off your device and send it wherever it wants to send it. Now, here's the disturbing part. Think about the last 10 apps you installed on your Android phone. Did any of them ask for phone access during the setup process? Probably some of them did. And what did you do? You almost certainly tapped allow, because that is what most people do. Because the prompt appears in the middle of trying to use the app for the first time, when your attention is elsewhere, when you're impatient, when you just want the thing to work. And the app gets your number, just like that. No data breach required, no hacker needed. You handed it over yourself, technically voluntarily, during a 10-second setup process you were barely paying attention to. And what do these apps do with your phone number once they have it? Some of them use it legitimately, for account verification, for customer support functions, for things that actually make sense, but many of them do not. A significant number of apps on the Android Play Store, including apps that have been downloaded millions of times before being discovered and removed, collect phone numbers as part of broader user data harvesting operations and feed that data to advertising networks, analytics firms, and data broker ecosystems. Those data brokers then build a profile on you that includes your phone number along with your name, your approximate address, your demographic information, and your behavioral data. And that profile gets sold again and again to whoever is buying. To understand just how dangerous this becomes once your number is in the wrong hands, you need to understand something called a SIM swap attack. Because this is where the story stops being about spam calls and starts being about losing everything. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center in 2024, there were 982 reported SIM swap attacks in the United States alone, resulting in nearly $26 million in documented losses. And those are just the reported cases. Experts consistently note that most victims who lose money to SIM swapping report the downstream theft, like a drained bank account or identity fraud, rather than the phone number takeover itself. The average victim of a SIM swap lost more than $2,400. In the UK, SIM swap reports to the National Fraud Database rose over 1,000% from 2023 to 2024, with nearly 3,000 cases filed, 1,000% increase, in a single year. Here is how a SIM swap works and why your phone number is the key that makes it possible. A scammer who has your phone number, your name, and a few basic personal details, all of which are available for purchase from data broker databases built in part from API permission harvesting, calls your mobile carrier. They pretend to be you. They say they lost their phone. They need to activate a new SIM. If the carrier's customer service representative is convinced, your phone number gets transferred to a SIM card that the scammer controls. Your phone immediately loses all network connectivity. You cannot make calls. You cannot receive texts. And the scammer, now controlling your number, starts requesting password reset codes to every account linked to that number. Your email, your bank, your payment apps. Those codes arrive via text message directly to the scammer. Within minutes, they are inside your accounts. Your money moves. Your identity changes hands. You find out when your phone stops working and you start getting emails about account changes you did not make. The cybersecurity firm ID Care reported in 2024 that 90% of SIM swap attacks happened without any interaction from the victim. The victim did nothing wrong in the moment. They did not click a phishing link. They did not give away a password. The only thing that made them vulnerable was that their phone number, along with enough supporting personal information, was available on databases that scammers had access to. Databases that were built in part from the kind of app permission harvesting happening on Android phones around the world every single day. Beyond SIM swapping, there are several other ways scammers weaponize your phone number once they have it. The most common is something called smishing. Phishing done through SMS text messages. You receive a text that looks like it is from your bank, from a delivery service, from a government agency, from Amazon. It has your name in it sometimes. It references something plausible. It contains a link. You click the link, enter information, and you have handed a scammer exactly what they wanted. The reason these messages feel convincing is because the scammer already knows your name and potentially other details about you that they bought alongside your number. The personalization is what makes it dangerous. A generic spam text is easy to ignore. A text that has your name and mentions your bank by name and references a recent transaction type is much harder to dismiss immediately, especially when you're tired, distracted, or in a hurry. There is also vishing, voice phishing, where scammers call you, spoof their caller ID to display a number that looks legitimate, and use social engineering to extract information from you or convince you to take an action that benefits them. The FTC has documented cases where scammers call elderly people pretending to be from Medicare, the IRS, or Social Security. And the reason these calls work is because the scammer already has the person's full name, approximate age, and phone number all purchased from data broker lists. The personalized opener is what builds false trust, and that opener is only possible because the phone number and the profile built around it was available for purchase. Now let's talk about what you can actually do, because all of this is fixable, or at least dramatically reducible, through a series of very specific steps on your Android phone that take less than 10 minutes total and that most people have never done. The first and most important thing you need to do is audit your app permissions right now. Open your phone's settings. Scroll down to apps. On some Android versions, this may appear as applications or app manager depending on your manufacturer. Once you're in apps, look for the option called permission manager, which on most modern Android phones appears either directly in the apps menu or under a sub-option called special app access. Tap Permission Manager. You will now see a list of every permission category on your phone, camera, location, microphone, contacts, and the one we care most about right now, phone. Tap Phone. What you will see is a list of every single app on your device that currently has permission to access your phone identity, which includes your phone number, your call logs, and your device information. Go through this list carefully. For every app that does not have a clear, obvious, necessary reason to know your phone number, a flashlight app, a game, a weather app, a photo editor, a random utility you downloaded months ago, tap on it and change the permission to Don't Allow. The process is the same for each one. Tap the app name. You will see its current permission status. Change it to Don't Allow and confirm. You're not breaking these apps by doing this. Apps that legitimately need phone access to function will still work for their core purpose. You may just need to enter a phone number manually in some cases. Apps that had no legitimate reason to have phone access in the first place will simply lose the ability to read and transmit that information. That is exactly what you want. While you are in the Permission Manager, do the same thing for contacts and call logs. Contacts Access gives an app your full address book, every name and number saved in your phone, and many apps harvest this data to build social graphs that are sold to advertising networks. Call Logs Access gives an app a record of every number you have called and every number that has called you, including the frequency and duration of those calls. Neither of these is information that a flashlight app, a game, or a shopping tool needs. Revoke it from anything that does not clearly require it. The second thing you need to do is check a setting that Android has buried in a place most users never look. Go to Settings, then Apps, then scroll down to find Special App Access. Inside Special App Access, look for a feature called Device Admin Apps, or in some versions, Install Unknown Apps. Device Admin Apps is a list of applications that have been granted administrative level control over your device. The ability to remotely lock it, wipe it, or change its settings. This level of access should belong to exactly one thing on your phone. Your organization's mobile device management app if you have a work phone, or nothing at all on a personal device. If you see any unfamiliar app listed as a device admin app, remove that access immediately by tapping it and selecting Deactivate. The third step, and this one is critically important, is to enable a feature that newer Android versions have built in, but that most people have never turned on. Go to Settings, then Apps, then Special App Access, and look for a feature called Auto Remove Permissions for Unused Apps. Or, on some versions, it may appear as Remove Permissions if app is unused. Turn this on. What it does is automatically revoke all sensitive permissions from any app that you have not opened in a certain period of time, typically a few months. This means that apps you downloaded once and forgot about, apps that are just sitting dormant on your phone, lose their ability to access your phone number, contacts, location, and other sensitive data automatically without you having to remember to do it manually. It is a passive, continuous protection that runs in the background and quietly closes permission doors that would otherwise stay open forever. The fourth step addresses a different angle of the same problem, the data brokers themselves. Because even after you lock down your app permissions, the data that has already been collected over months or years of those permissions being open is already out there. Your number is already on lists, and data broker websites, companies like Spokeo, Whitepages, Been Verified, Intellius, and dozens of others, have that information and are displaying it publicly, available for anyone to search and find. The most effective long-term solution to this is to manually submit opt-out requests to these websites, requesting that they remove your information from their databases. Most of them are legally required to honor these requests under various state privacy laws. It takes time. You have to find each site, find their opt-out page, submit your request, and sometimes follow up. But it directly addresses the source of the problem. There are also paid services that automate this process for you by continuously monitoring and submitting opt-out requests on your behalf, which is worth considering if you want an ongoing rather than one-time solution. The fifth step is one that most Android users have never thought about: setting a SIM PIN. Your SIM card has a PIN protection feature that, when enabled, requires a PIN code to be entered anytime the SIM is inserted into a new device or activated on a new account. This is one of the most direct defenses against a SIM swap attack, because even if a scammer convinces your carrier's customer service to initiate a SIM swap, they will hit a PIN requirement that stops the process. To enable this on Android, go to Settings, then Security, then SIM card lock, and turn on the option to lock SIM card. You will be prompted to set a PIN. Choose something that is not your birth year, not 1234, not 000, something memorable but not obvious. This one step, which takes about 60 seconds to complete, adds a meaningful layer of protection against the most financially devastating type of phone number attack. The sixth step, and this one directly addresses your relationship with the apps you use going forward, is to develop a habit around phone number minimization. Every time an app or website asks for your phone number during sign-up or registration, Ask yourself whether that app genuinely needs your real number to provide the service. For many apps, loyalty programs, free services, random tools you plan to use once, the answer is no. For these situations, consider using a virtual phone number. Google Voice provides free virtual US phone numbers. Apps like Hushed or MySudo offer additional virtual number options for a small fee. A virtual number receives calls and texts just like a real number, but it is not tied to your SIM card, your carrier account, or your identity in the same way your real number is. When a virtual number ends up in a data broker database, and it will, the consequences are limited. No SIM swap is possible, no 2FA interception, no carrier account compromise. The damage is capped. And the seventh and final step is the one that closes the loop on the 2FA vulnerability that makes phone number exposure genuinely dangerous for your most important accounts. The reason a scammer who controls your phone number can access your email, your bank, and your other accounts is because those accounts use SMS text messages as their second factor of authentication. If your phone number is compromised, those text messages go to the scammer instead of to you. The fix is to stop using SMS as your second factor wherever possible. Go into the security settings of your most important accounts, your email, your banking app, your payment platforms, and switch from SMS-based two-factor authentication to an authenticator app. Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator are free, work on Android, and generate time-based codes directly on your device that never travel over the carrier network. A scammer who controls your phone number cannot intercept a code generated inside an app on your device. The security agency CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, has explicitly stated that SMS should not be used as a second factor for authentication precisely because of how easily it can be intercepted or redirected. Switch to an authenticator app for your most critical accounts, and you have eliminated the most dangerous consequence of phone number exposure in one move. Now take a step back and look at everything you just learned. Your phone number is being leaked through app permissions you approved yourself, through data breaches at companies holding your information, and through data brokers scraping every public source they can find. That leaked number ends up in databases that scammers purchase. Those scammers use it for spam campaigns, for personalized phishing attacks, and in the most serious cases for SIM swap fraud that can drain your bank account in minutes, a crime that cost Americans nearly $26 million in documented losses in 2024 alone, and saw over 1,000% more cases in the UK in a single year. All of this is real. All of it is verified. And all of it is addressable through the steps you now know how to take. Audit your app permissions right now and revoke phone access from anything that does not need it. Do the same for contacts and call logs. Enable auto-remove permissions for unused apps. Enable a SIM PIN. Stop giving your real phone number to services that do not need it. And switch your critical accounts from SMS, woe factor, to an authenticator app. These are not complicated technical steps. They are settings that exist on your phone right now that most people have never touched, that are doing nothing for you because nobody ever told you they existed. You know they exist now, and knowing is the difference between being a passive target and being someone who made a deliberate choice about their own security. Your phone is in your hands. The settings are right there. Go use them.